Hey everyone, and welcome to an all new episode of Wicked Unscripted, where we have unscripted conversations about some of the most popular reality shows on television. My name is Abigail Adams. I am your host for this podcast. Joining me today, or tonight, as always, is the lovely Sarah Talks. It is a late night record for us.
So late. I mean,
it
it's
is
not so late,
asterisk.
but
So it's
I'm old.
10:30 my time. Buckle up.
We're no spring chickens.
We were talking about recording today, and then we were like, life came up for us, and we were both like, well, we might push it tomorrow. And then we were both talking, and then we were like,
fuck it, let's just go record. Let's just knock this shit out. Let's go.
So bear with us. This should hopefully be more hilarious. Usually. We are here to talk about, is this episode 10 or 11? I think this might be 11. I don't know if I changed that. But we're here to talk about the latest episode of Survivor 46. I'm actually coming off of watching it at a but at a watch party in Boston. There were 2 watch parties this weekend. There was one in Boston, one in Chicago. Not gonna lie, the Chicago one looked awesome. But the Boston one was great too. I had a fucking blast. And it's something I hope, and I really encourage people to like find these, whether it's like the Bryce and Gwen events. Rob has a podcast. They're the ones that like do a lot of them. When I'm in a position to, I'd like to do mini ones if I can get enough of a not even reputation or following, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. Like,
one day we will have our own.
Sarah knows there are some hoops I just need to legally jump through before I can start doing that. But once we do that, we go off. But those kinds of events are just so much fun to go to, because it really is. It's so enjoyable to be in a space where everybody is really like vibing. Even if you're not vibing on the same people, you're still vibing on the same show. And it's so fun to see just the mix of reactions. Watching Venus go, it was torn in the room. There were people who were just, because she has been a very polarizing player, but I was a part of the room that lost their minds in a sad way. I was sad. So mad, but like
an idol in her pocket.
Stop it, Sarah. I know.
And she knew she was not 100% safe.
The second I heard her say, though, in her confessional, if I can save it for next week, I didn't even need her to finish the sentence. I was like, oh my God, she's gone. No. I tried telling myself.
I felt it, but a part of me was like, they're stressing us out intentionally. They're just like leaving at the will she, won't she, because of the history we've had. But then I was thinking, it's fucking Venus. And she's already made like comments about leaving with one in your pocket, and all these people left with one in their pocket. And Charlie all but told her, babes, it's you. And I don't like.
Oh, I mean, her strategy with Charlie did not work. He literally was basically approaching her and being like, I want to go Final Four. You want to go Final Four? And she's like, yeah, but I have a thing I can't tell you about. And
then she was like, I have something up my sleeve. I have something up my sleeve. Yeah, babe, it's your idol. Fucking use it. You ain't got nothing else. You got nothing else.
That was the dagger, I think. Because I think at that point, you could tell she had already decided she wasn't using her idol either. Because she was using it to dangle it, not dangle it in front of Charlie either, but she did almost, where it was kind of like, hey, I've got a thing that as long as you keep me safe, you got the thing. But like, she didn't even make it clear that she had it. He was like, do you have it? Does somebody else have it? And she's like, you'll find out. And it's like, no, too much vagueness. Yes, vague, too vague. Yes, vague can be fine, but that is too much. What is that game? Oh, they do that on not Jeopardy, on Price is Right. That's too much. Have you ever? I used to watch that game all the time when I was a kid from home. So I don't even remember what it was.
Price is wrong, bitch.
R.I.P.
No, yeah, like just so much. Like the episode title should be just "Shake My Head," because what is this season? I mean, we are going tit for tat in the draft, though. So
it's making me like wheeze every week, because I go back to take my notes, and like it's usually one of us is very ahead of the other.
I mean, at this rate, it's going to come down to Ben, Charlie, or Liz, who's going home next week. It all comes down to who gets the idol, because if they get the idol, they're going home with it in their pocket.
I just they're
The universe heard me say, like, "This season's mixing it up, and we have a full likable cast, and they're mixing up the competitions." And they're like, "Great, Sarah's really on board. Let's give her the same fucking episode every single week. We'll have the same tribal council every single week, and then
that
she can
part
have
has
all of
definitely
her
been
obstacle
frustrating.
course, you know."
That has been wildly frustrating because as much as I just worry, okay, the fear has now come into my head that they're going to be like, see, this is why you need all the advantages. It's like, but do you? Because you I get in one part because it's like it's just idols and blah blah blah. But it's like, but nobody's playing them. So what's the point of even having them in the game? There needs to be, I think they need to evolve away from the things that people just find. There has to be a way that this game evolves out of just going and finding this, which Russell Hantz started when because just and for people who don't know, it wasn't that people just went and ran to go look for idols back in the day. It was that they would get a clue. And then on Survivor Samoa, Russell Hantz literally looked at the camera and was like, I could just go look for it. I'm going to just go look for it. And then he found a bunch of items just by doing that. And that is how everybody started following that pattern. He, whether you like him or not, he revolutionized the game by doing that. So I just think it's been, how many years has it been since he's done that? Bruh, way too long since he did that. It's been at least 15 years, probably, give or take. 15 years with no significant change to how that works, I feel like is a flaw because people have gamed it so much. There has to be a change. And even if you keep it in there, I don't know. There's got to be something that tweaks here with the twist, and it can't just be the same all the time. It just is
I'm
getting
really
really.
glad they didn't make her do, like, a puzzle to get this idol, but
I'm gonna go look that up, by the way, while you share your thoughts. But anyway, sorry.
no, I was just saying that, like, I'm glad that it was just she just found an idol. She didn't have to, like, dig for it. She didn't have to do a puzzle. She didn't have to decipher anything. She just found a fucking idol.
It was 2009, so it is quite literally 15 years since Russell revolutionized the idol search, where he was like, "Yep, I'm just gonna go do it by myself." And I don't think Survivor has done enough. It's almost like, not to bring like anything in politics. We're not talking about like anything how you lean, but it's like a lot of times the laws will like not quite keep up with technology. So like only now are we getting things that are like getting laws that are being like, well, yeah, you can't like do revenge porn. That's horrible. Of course you can't. You know what I mean? It's like it's taken years to get that, and it should have been something that when this became an issue decades ago, that it should have been legislated, but we're so far behind. So it's just one of those like kind of comparisons that I would make in
That's a
like
good one.
Survivor needs to realize that they are behind on the times, that people have outgamed them far too much, even with things like a knowledge is power or a steal a vote. Like, I'm not saying you can't have that, but it's just there's got to be different mechanisms, I think, that are used. What it is, I'm not the genius. I'm not saying I know, but I don't know. It's getting overgamed, and I don't know how you fix it. It's my big yikes
It,
because,
it's very on brand though. Like, I mean,
yeah,
it's very on brand for this space right now, and it's in particular Paramount
it's so
Productions.
frustrating because I
Yeah.
love Paramount, but I also like Paramount makes me wanna scream sometimes because it's like
Mm.
you have some of the best properties. You have Survivor, Big Brother, Amazing Race, and The Challenge. 4 of the biggest, longest running reality shows still on television. And they're
It just I feel like we bitch a lot on this podcast about that, but it just all feels lazy.
no, it all does, and I think it's largely because a lot of what we focus on is Paramount-based stuff, and so it's just kind of like we're feeling a lot of the wind kind of being blown out of the bag or whatever the phrase
Mhm.
is. Like, it's just like it's sad because these franchises still have so much promise and they still have such strong followings, but they're going to continue to lose the followings if they don't do something drastic to change without being drastic, if that makes any
Start
sense.
listening to us.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
I did like this challenge though. I did like the challenge.
Yes, this was a great
But
challenge. I
but
loved
we
it.
gotta talk about it yet again. Again, like, I feel like everything about this episode, I tweeted it, like, for this week's podcast, we coulda just gone in and just edited a couple of the names, and
Yep.
then we got a rinse and repeat episode all over again. But wow, like I did not see this coming from Maria. I didn't see this win coming, and I didn't see this reward reaction coming.
Fucking rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors. And Venus had, hit the nail on the head. She's just like, it just stand by your choices. You know what I mean? Like, don't, the way she went about it and did it was
Mhm.
even worse than the what Q did.
So I was at least correct in the sense that, so in my prediction where I was like, yeah, Maria's gonna try and make this big move, this exact bit, but she did not. There was no stealth to this whatsoever.
None.
And I'm frustrated for her because I feel like she could have gone about this a way better way. And it feels like she is starting to get that cockiness that has brought down everybody who has had an idol. I get that she doesn't have an idol right now. There's gonna be an idol out there next week. If she finds that idol and pockets that idol, she's gone. Anybody who touches that idol probably shouldn't want that idol at this point.
Yes, they're cursed.
It feels like it's
It's gonna
poison.
be the season 46 curse.
Oh, so funny.
Yeah,
So
we talked
crazy.
about this earlier in the season too, and like these were kind of our worries for like Kinsey and stuff with the way they were talking. That like if you're gonna make a move, make the move, but you don't need at this point in the game, you don't need to advertise one that it's your move, and two, make
Mhm.
such a big fuss on like you're the one making the moves here. That is part of your argument. You get to the end and then you can tell them, "Hey, I did this move. You know that vote that happened that yeah, that was me. I did this
Yes.
and that's when you say all this shit. You don't need say it as you go along because you're basically saying like, look at all the stuff I just put on my resume while there's multiple weeks left for or days left for you to be voted out."
I
Like,
think Charlie has mastered the humble brag at
yes.
tribal council, and I think that this is where I think if he and Maria somehow end up at the end together, I don't anticipate that at this point based on the conversations we have
No,
heard.
I really like that he's recognizing the threat there and
Same.
already putting in the groundwork to separate himself.
Well, because he's taken her in that alliance as far as he can take it. He and I'm not saying that he thinks that she is the most likable person on the island. It's not that she's dislikable, but it's just like when you're playing this game and she has now turned herself straight into a villain. Like, it's big for him to realize that. I was gonna jump down like 5 different rabbit holes, and I'm so glad I caught myself before doing that. But, like,
Fucking hell, though. I can't believe after all of that last week, she would
yeah.
still. Liz should have been the first pick. And I'm curious to hear if anyone else was like trying to give up their spot for Liz and Maria was like standing firm and saying no,
Yep.
or I,
I didn't hear any of that. I
I
also
haven't heard
haven't
any
watched
of
a
that
ton of
because
stuff from Venus. I've seen stuff, but I haven't seen everything, but
it's just it none of it really made a whole lot of sense to me,
yeah.
and it felt very unnecessary for her.
So one thing I will like not credit her for and be like she did a good job, but like just like give her a little leeway for is like when you are even if you are getting some rewards day to day, you are still depleted of food and energy and water and like and sleep. I do think that it partially could be that if she had a clearer mind, she might not have done that. Like, she might have recognized that, she
It
was
was
in
the
the position
comment
to
she
not do
made
that.
about how
Oh,
Q was hurting and
oh,
like
totally, totally.
yeah,
I actually agree with that because I wrote hold on, I actually where did I write that
like
down?
bitch, he just got a huge ass meal.
Oh, I wrote down the quote because it was so specific. But it was that, she was saying that, like and I can almost remember it word for word. At tribal council, like, Jeff asked her, like, why she did what she did, and she said, "Well, I felt like Q needed it versus I wanted to give it to Liz." Or he had to get it. Let me find the fucking quote. It's in my notes, it's just
But when
obviously
she
buried
was
here.
picking, she said, "I feel like I'm torn between these two people because
I found out.
they physically need it." And I'm like,
Yep.
"Q just had a big ass meal
Well, and
like
then she
the day
also said there's
before."
somebody who's starving, who's very clearly struggling. There are people who need it more than others. But then she literally at tribal council I found the quote, so
Mhm.
apologies for misquoting, but she said she felt she had to give Q a chance and then wanted to give Liz one too. And that wording's really important to me. Had versus wanted. She felt she had to give Q a chance. Like, that really, I think, tipped her hand. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes she's made in the entire game. Just that
Mhm.
singular sentence at tribal count. I mean, I think one of the biggest mistakes was how she handled what you're talking about at the
The
challenge when
challenge.
she was talking to people because her defense was horrible and everybody went back pissed. And she just dug herself a hole because literally no one on the jury had heard that. Nobody on the jury had heard that conversation, and she just basically handed them anything they needed to hear from that conversation, which is
Yes.
basically she felt she had to help Q and just wanted to help Liz, and it's like, "We get it. We see. It's obvious." Now
Yeah.
the thing is, I need Liz to make a move against Maria eventually. I know she's probably just, like, hedging her bets, trying to make sure that she's, like, doing it in the smartest way possible, because I don't know if Maria's going for her targets as best as she could. I think she's getting a little aggressive now, and it's like,
Yeah. Can
we could still get 'em out, just not that way.
I'm still processing the fact that Q is still here.
You know, people might not like me saying this, but I actually don't hate it. It makes for fun television. I like having a heel to root against, even if they're not my person, but I don't dislike him. It's
Oh,
just
see, here's
like,
the thing. I see Maria as a bigger heel now than Q
oh,
ever.
I agree. Well, and then I love because now they're the 2 big heels, and it's I think
And
it's
not
good
in a
for
way like
storytelling.
again, I this last episode put a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to Maria, where the way she went about it and handled it, it is not like the cutthroat villainess that I loved about Venus.
Mhm.
It's just it left a bad taste in my mouth. It's just like
Yeah.
a, "Ooh, please, you can go."
Also, I wanna hear no slander about Venus. Venus has taken enough. She deserves nothing more. Are we frustrated that she didn't play the idol? Absolutely. I mean, we already talked about it, why we are literally, like,
Oh,
shaking the camera being like, "Oh my god."
girl.
But, like,
Mm.
some of the stuff she's had to deal with really does frustrate me. Because, like, she really was, unless there is something that people wanna come out with to tell us we missed, which is fair, it happens, but unless there's something we missed, there was no reason for people to actually go against her. It was just personal vibes. As much as I enjoyed Tevin and Hunter on the season, they were 2 people that really just turned people against her and were like, "No, not trustworthy," and people would just be like, "Yeah, I believe it," because these are people that I'm aligned with. And it just felt very much like there wasn't enough research actually done into who Venus was. And I'm not saying that Venus even played the best game, but if people on other tribes had given her a chance, I think, would have had a better social read and therefore played a better game. When she was given no information from no one, what do you expect someone to do? All they can do is make the best inferences possible. And then they're gonna shoot her down because she can't make any connections? You're not allowing her to. Another person I really enjoyed was Soda, but, like, some of the conversations she had with Soda, I felt like Soda was very dismissive of her. And it's like, unless you give us a real reason, like, did Venus actually do something to legitimately piss you off, or was it just like you're on an island playing a game and she just kind of annoyed you? Because that's kinda how it felt.
Valid. Mhm.
I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to put words in their mouth. That's just how the edits came off to me. Because there are things that get left out of the edit. There are conversations that we don't get to see. We know that they like to make narratives the way they want to make them. But I don't really know what to believe at this point if someone is very obviously being like, people did not treat me fairly, and everybody else is being like, well, what do you mean? But, like, I can see it not happening on the screen. So unless there's things we're missing, I do want to know, like, what the real beef is with Venus, because I was excited when Kenzie was like, "Oh, I can actually work with Venus." Like,
Well,
that's
that's
a really
kinda
hard
where I'm at too
thing.
with the Liz thing. I'm like, we
Mm,
saw how Liz was in the beginning with the money stuff and the
yep.
but has she continued that style of car and we're just not seeing things like, do people just really not like her?
I mean, I can see where both her and, um, Venus game-wise, I do not wanna say this as a personality thing for women because I'm not trying to be like women are
Mm-mm.
abrasive, but I'm saying I think I can see where their games are abrasive in the way where they are very firm, because you wouldn't look at men men having it as abrasive, but they're just standing by what they believe in, you know what I mean? But a lot of times it can be construed that women are coming off abrasive when they're trying to just be like, "This is how I feel," even if it's not
I mean,
direct.
Venus was worrying me when she was like just like sauntering up to Hunter, like, "What are you doing? You
Yeah,
found an eye," and then like stalking
totally,
him.
totally.
I
But
was
also,
here for it. I loved it. It
like,
was entertaining,
I'd
but I was
loop
like, "Girl, I'm scared for you."
I'd loop her and Liz and Q into, like, this very similar bubble of how they kind of view the game, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I'm not saying Q does not take criticism, he absolutely does. It's just I feel like it comes off a little bit different. Um, not first of all, not that he requests or asks for that, I think it's just kind of how, like, people are just like, "Well, it's Q, Q's chaos," and, um I think one of the things that sticks with me is that Venus said one of the things she said in her exit interviews is that she was disappointed in how she was received at Ponderosa when she went there, which is basically their jury
Mm.
house. 'Cause she was like, people like, a lot of times people will just be like, "Hey, let's just let the game be, and let's just be friends now," and she was like, "I mean, at least Hunter played Scrabble with me." She said, "Hunter played Scrabble with me, but otherwise I was fairly disappointed in," and she watched some TV shows, but she didn't say she watched them with anybody in particular. And it just made me sad, really, really sad for
Yeah.
her because it's like
She's kind of been ostracized like that since day 1 too, and it's unfortunate.
it's really unfortunate because this is probably this is I'm assuming her dream to be on this show,
Yeah.
and to have it happen this way just is heartbreaking. Because also, who wants to apply for the show if, like, you're gonna be afraid of I mean, you should always apply. Don't be afraid to, like, go for your dreams, but, like, why would somebody, like, be excited to have this be their experience either, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I think there's a level that I just don't understand why there was so much vitriol, like, why it's like I don't even wanna talk to her after the game. I don't know. Again, I feel like there is
Well,
something we're
maybe now that
missing.
that's out there, somebody else could speak up and say something, but
Totally. I just ask and I ask that it's done politely, it's just I feel like this needs to get cleared up. Maybe it doesn't though, do they owe us an explanation?
they do not know. They owe her an explanation.
Yeah, I really actually now that I think about it, none of us in the public really they don't owe us anything, really, as I'm thinking this out. As
It's a
long
very
as they can
sensitive topic for me right now. I'm very angry at
yeah.
the internet publics in general, but I won't speak more
Well,
on that.
internet publics right now are just also just like, it is very hard to manage. Everybody's freaking out over lots of things, and I think it's
I feel like
all valid, but
everybody
there's
should be freaking out over certain things.
well, I
I
think they're
I feel like
valid
the
in
Met
being
Gala is not one of them.
I feel like being, like, frustrated is fine, and I think everybody's entitled to how they want to handle it, but I think some people need to make sure they also do their research.
Yes. That there's not a
Because I
lot of
think
that
it
going
get
on.
because even I catch myself in a heated moment where I'll be like, "Yes, yes, yes," and then I'll click something and I'll be like, "Ooh, glad I didn't share that," because, like,
Mhm.
that's not quite like, in the heated moment, I felt it, but I needed to make sure I took in and there it feels like a lot of people are acting in a
And
heated
listen, we
moment.
kinda go through this and we see this and we kinda remind people all the time, like even in the Big Brother space, that's a very long stint. Big Brother premiering July 17th.
So
Um,
excited!
but that's a bit we're in it for a very long time and we're watching it in real time too. So people don't have the validation that they feel like they're entitled to immediately.
Mm,
So they just, will say what they can on Twitter and what they can, and then finale night and the house guests get released and it's just a bum rush, of
it's the
hate
worst
and
week of the year, no offense.
it is horrible. It
It's
is
one of
just
the worst weeks of the
absolutely
fucking year.
horrendous.
I actually
And
step away that first day, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh,
I
I
give
wanna
out
see
the
everything."
same
I can't
PSA
do it.
every
I
single
cannot do
season.
it. It's
I
too
post
much.
one video at the end of every season and it's the same PSA I give every year. And I feel like people need to remember you are not entitled to an apology for how someone in the house, on the island, etc., made someone else there feel. If
Mhm.
they said something to personally offend you, your culture, your race, your sexuality, then yes, you are entitled to ask for an apology or ask for a response. They are not entitled to give you one, and that is in all walks of life. You might want an apology from someone. You might feel that you are entitled to an apology from someone, but it is that person's choice whether or not they choose to apologize to you or to speak on their actions.
Mhm.
Same in turn, you are entitled then to have your feelings about how they reacted to it, whether they gave you that apology or whether they didn't. I want to go like on a small rant here for a second as I hit myself in the face with my mic. Holy shit. Um, we are, and I'm not getting too political on this page. We always talk like my opinions are mine alone, but like something you guys should know about me is that I'm not right, I'm not left, I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican. If I were running this country, I am firmly in the party of mind your own fucking business. I believe that the country should be ran with a mind your own fucking business attitude, down to like, I believe that laws about any medical procedure should be made by elected officials who are doctors. We should elect doctors to do medical laws. We should elect educators to do education laws. The politicians are great for PR and calming me down if a meteor is headed towards Earth and I need to calm the fuck down about it.
Are you sure
Or,
about that?
huh?
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, like let that person who's good at public speaking tell me to calm down. That's fine.
Or put
Let
somebody
that
who's in a
person
PR
go and have
position
meetings
there.
with other countries to like calm tensions. But as far as like my like lawmaking, rule making, parenting, everyone just needs to mind your own business. As long as you are not hurting or infringing the rights on another human being, mind your own business. And that goes in all walks of life. That's the way I will preach reality television. That's what I'm going to preach on this podcast, all the way up to political stuff. So, something you should all know about me. That is where I stand on every topic. There's not a single issue, law, rule, regulation, uh, television show. When you're asked my opinion about it, guarantee if you think of the party of mind your own fucking business, you'll understand where I stand on it.
All I can think of is the rent is too damn high. Vermin Supreme. I'm not saying they're the same person. I understand they're different. It's just like all I could think of is those crazy people that we had back in the early internet days when YouTube was like early and like we had the videos of Vermin Supreme with the boot on his head and it's just like, oh man. People are like, you're crazy pants. It's like, I mean, they might be a little crazy pants, but they also would make good points. Like the rent's too high. Maybe we should lower it.
Yeah,
Like,
something. I mean, and
they
just
would also have wild things that we do not support, but it would be like sewn in with like basic things that they would like that would draw people in. Like the rent is too damn high because who doesn't agree with that? Even back in 2008, who didn't agree with that? Like, it's funny. I actually think that's a good point to think about in general, though, because I feel like it almost like when you're talking about people who make the rules, I almost wonder if Survivor needs to start getting some consultants in, like literally like Tyson Apostle, to like hire them and be like,
mhm.
this person needs to tell you the flaws of the game, where you can improve. Doesn't mean that they have to write your things, but you need their advice at this point.
Yes,
Hard
absolutely.
fucking core. And I'm not trying to be a dick. Jeff is a great, I do love Jeff. But like he is stuck in like the Survivor 20s. He's grown, he's changed, but like he's still living in that era and it's like I just don't think he's understood how much has changed. I don't know if he understands how much social media has impacted it. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think he needs some help. Politely, because I think also once he can see where the direction is, I think Jeff would actually have some really great ideas and would be really proactive in helping grow the show. I just don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if it's that it's not even just like, oh, Jeff, because I've been very critical, but it's like, what if it's because like everybody below him is kind of either yes manning him and just being like, yes, whatever you say, Jeff. Or what if it's just like they're also not as in tune with what the internet is feeling and thinking, because the internet's not just the internet, it's it's the public consciousness.
Uh-huh.
Consciousness.
The voice of the people.
It's not that everything you see on the internet you should just take at face value, right? But
Yes,
if
for the
you're an
love
intelligent
of
person,
Dolly, please
but
don't.
if you're an intelligent person, you can go on the internet and see what the general public's consensus is. And especially you can see, like, even if it's like a 60-40 where there's a general consensus here, but there's still a strong group of people who feel that, like, you can have those. It doesn't matter. And it just feels like a lot of it just kind of gets missed. Like, it feels like sometimes when we're on social media, we scream into the void. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes they're afraid of seeing what we say. And it's like, or you could just not have your feelings hurt. Like, if you look at something that says, I hate Venus, Venus is the worst. Because I just see that and I delete the comment and I block that person. Because those kinds of comments just, well, I know they can't do it, but it's like those comments just aren't needed. You can't take those ones and like be like, and that's just the general public's general feeling. People can be upset and disappointed and you should definitely listen, but like, not everybody is so vitriolic that they think that they want certain people to just not exist, which I feel like is what they feel like sometimes. Like, they don't wanna address it. They also just don't wanna be on whatever Twitter is anymore, which I can't blame them for. That place is a dumpster fire with a
I
capital D.
mean, it's not like Facebook dumpster fire, but it's getting up there.
Facebook is dumpster fire in all caps.
Yeah.
Twitter, I would say, is capital D and capital F. Not quite full caps, but we're getting there. We're close. I can't even bear to go on Facebook. No offense to anybody who might be on Facebook who listens to us. I don't know how many people that would be. But like, there's a piece of me that doesn't even put this up on there because I'm not ready to hear people just like, it's not about not hearing other opinions. It's about like hearing people who are very genuinely like so tunnel vision in their opinions that they're not willing to hear anything else.
Mm. There's a lot of those out there.
Well, I feel like you get a lot of that when you're watching these shows. And it's okay to have opinions. I mean, if you're very like against
I'm pretty
somebody
sure
or
my Twitter bio is still the same as it's been for like 15 years, and it says like I have opinions on everything because I
it,
do.
but it's also like, and no one's saying don't have wicked unscripted opinions. But like, you really, as long as you're just being semi thoughtful, that's all that matters, you know? If you say something stupid, apologize, you know? It's just, I don't know. I think it's a big long
I'm
rabbit
very
hole
anxious
to
to
talk
hear.
about
Yeah,
that.
I mean, yeah. I bringing it back to the episode. I really want to hear what one everyone has to say about their feelings about Venus and like hear what the whys of it all. I need to hear more from Maria.
That was just very much a, we're recording at 11:15 rant where it was just like,
No, it all kind of comes full circle. It's
It
fine. Like
does.
we are in, this is what separates us from everybody else. So.
We are just real bitches.
Mhm.
No, I mean, there's so much to talk about Maria that we haven't even still touched on. Like, when they got back from, um, voting Tiffany out, she literally just looked at the group, that was at the fire pit. She was like, "So final 5, right?" And I was like, "That's a really bold question. Really, really bold question to just say in public." Like, I get it, but I also don't because that just shows that you're the person who feels the most comfortable that way. I don't know. I feel like there were a series of moves that Maria made that really could potentially lead to her downfall, which is so frustrating because I had her as a winner pick and she's so close. But I think that was the first one. The other one was when she made Q and Venus rock paper scissors. Also, just all of her comments. That's a third one. And then going to tribal council and defending that in front of the literal jury. Oh, and then her argument with Liz, which like that was a bizarre argument. Like, I've never. I live for moments like that. That was fun. Give
It
us
made me
more.
so
It
uncomfortable.
was so uncomfortable. It did make me uncomfy, but I live for those moments because, like, that's what we want. I want them to make me go hide behind a fucking corner because it makes me feel so cringe. It was fun. But, like, there's so many things I could say. I mean, could talk about Maria's arrogance coming out of it, like, feeling like she had kind of manipulated the situation, and then we get cutaways where it's very obviously not the case. Um, it's fascinating to watch. Very, very fascinating. Uh,
Mhm. It was the exact same tribal council as the week before.
I'm trying to figure I feel like it's almost setting us up for a Liz Maria battle, though, this coming week.
Okay.
Um, let me go back and check my notes for next week because they did the next time on Survivor. I should do a compilation at the end of the season because I'd say that at least once an episode. I should just get all of my little that'd be fun. Anyways, not that we're
Yeah.
ending the episode here anyways, guys, I'm just, like, checking the oh, yes, Maria I knew there was something because Maria cries in the preview, and she's like, "Something in me died today," and I'm like,
Mhm.
there's so many things that could happen, but I genuinely actually wonder if, like, there was a bigger confrontation between her and Liz that, like, Liz, like, was literally like, "I tried telling you that you were making me mad, and when I tell you, I cannot tell you anymore because you did." She probably does another thing that just sets her off. That's a prediction. Probably one of my bolder ones of the season that I'm not as confident on, but who
Do
knows?
you know the first thing that popped in my mind whenever she said when you see that scene of her crying and
Mhm.
she says something, "Oh my gosh. Ah,
She
sorry."
yawned too. She yawned, she was so bored. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Late night,
It's
wicked
what we love.
unhinged.
It's okay. I just went on a ramble rant, so you're fine. Yawns are very acceptable.
Um, the first thing that came to my mind was she finds out Charlie's like, working against her.
Yep. I mean, that could also be really that she finds out Charlie is going against her to some degree.
That's just
Good
what
point.
immediately what popped in my mind
It's a really
when
good point because we do see also, like, Charlie says in there that Maria's relationship's coming to a head. He says, like, "I love her to death, but I have to vote her out." And I'm like,
mhm,
"Oh, is that real? Is that real?" They love to throw us red herrings, so I'm not saying it isn't.
I
I'm
don't
just like,
know,
I can't believe anything anymore.
or an attempt, I don't know.
Bitches. Just kidding. But I mean, for a while we've seen Charlie and Maria playing the middle, but this week it was actually Charlie and Kenzie, which I thought was really interesting. Both on all three parts, really. I was gonna say really for Charlie and Kenzie, but really for Maria too. I mean, Maria almost getting edged out by her number 1, which I think is something we always scream at people to do. It's like, "Hey, we know you can take somebody as far as you can, but you have to understand when they're a liability." He's one of the first people, not the only one, but it's like, when you see people do it, it's so relieving. It's so energizing. It's what you live to see on the show. It's great gameplay. I just hope it and I say this in all kindness to Charlie, I just hope it doesn't get screwed up. We're so close. So close. It would just be so frustrating to watch it go down the
But it would
tube.
check out because it means, like, you lost someone on your draft, I'm gonna lose somebody next week, so
Well, let's see. You have Ben, Liz, and Charlie. I think my greatest no, I mean, so yeah, so Sarah, if you're listening to the audio version, Sarah has Ben, Charlie, and Liz left, and then I have Maria, Kenzie, and Q left. What a trio! What a trio there. For on both ends. I still stand by I think Charlie's your best bet to win. He is actually if I could pick somebody right now to be the winner, he would be my number 1. Q would be my number 2
wait, to win, though?
to win. And
I
I'm
don't
not
think anybody's
saying that
gonna vote
they're
for
like
Q.
it just that's where they place in the final 3. I'm just saying should they make the final 3, my like order of like who how I think the jury would select them if they were available would be
Mm.
Charlie, Q, Kenzie, Maria,
Oh, see, I think
Liz,
Kinsey would
Ben.
get more votes. I don't think Q's gonna get any votes.
I think Q's gonna get a lot of votes. I think people are gonna be surprised if he gets to the end because he's gonna have maneuvered his way through this like Tony Vlachos did.
I
And
could be
what's
wrong.
sad is that, like, you can cause cha
I said I could be wrong, but
Well, and you
I
know,
feel like if he gets taken in the end, it's because they know no one's gonna vote for him.
well, but I think a lot of people will take him to the end because they think he'll get no votes, but really he has had some strategy. It doesn't have to have been the best, but he's also been able to maneuver his way through the game for days after having the biggest target painted on his back since the merge. Like if he can get there after being a target throughout the entire merge tribe setting, I'm not saying that they're gonna be automatically compelled to, but I think there are going to be people who are gonna be pro Q. Um, how it works, I also think depends on how the jury continues to be made up. Like if he wants to win, he actually probably wants to go to the end with Liz because having Liz in that jury would not help him whatsoever. Like whatsoever.
Mm.
Um, I think as much as Tiffany has had issues with him, I think she will still be a help for him. I actually feel the same for Kenzie to some degree, but I think she's gonna be one who's skeptical. It's just if he can talk his way into it, which he hasn't, I guess, successfully done with her all season, so maybe not. He's struck out twice. We'll see if it's the third time's a charm, but it's interesting to start looking at these people in terms of who they could be against in the final 3 and what their odds are of winning. Because I really think out of all like, a lot of times it's clear cut. This season, there's a good chance that each one of these people have to win. It's nice. I enjoy it. I want it to be suspenseful.
Mm.
If you could pick anybody out of these 6, whether it's your winner, like, pick list or not, who would you go with? Because mine's Charlie. I think Charlie's got it
Charlie.
wrapped up.
Thought like Charlie, Ben, Maria.
You think Ben is gonna win? Or, like,
I
he's, like, second
you
closest?
asked I could see it, absolutely. But are you talking about, like, any of these people in final with the votes,
Yup,
though?
in final with
You're
anybody.
like, if you okay, the way the question was phrased, it was like, "What would I want?"
"Oh, what would you want?" No, what do you think?
Charlie for sure, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure.
Second most votes. Say if they were all it was a final 6 and we're all just everybody's voting for
Right,
these 6, right?
right.
Charlie for sure.
Like, if there's an even chance of them winning, how would you rank them currently on, like, how you think they would, like, who has the best chance of placing first? Not even how you think they'd
Charlie.
rank. 'Cause my rank for first place would be, I think Charlie has the best, then I think Q, then I think Kenzie. I think Maria's done a lot of damage to her game, so that's why I'd knock her down to 4th. Then I think Liz, and then I think Ben.
I think if
Only because
Maria's
Ben
at
has
the
made no
end, though,
moves.
she does have the resume, so I think Maria gets second most votes. Um,
I think she's gonna take a ton of heat from the jury. A ton of heat. I'm not saying again, not even doesn't mean they're not gonna vote for her, but, like, they're gonna have questions about this portion of the game for sure, in my opinion. Um, she's very proudly been messy.
it also comes down to who they're sitting next to.
Yes, and
I
that really
feel
does play into it.
I feel honestly, if the jury had to pick between Q and Ben, I feel like they'd pick Ben, and I feel
Oh,
like
they
that
would
would be a
too.
friendship thing more than a acknowledging. I feel like they would talk themselves into it more and then use the things like Q tried to quit and he, blew up
Ooh,
his
that's a good
game and
point that
blew
I
up
did
my
forget
game.
about. That's a good point. I did forget about the quit had Q not offered to quit.
Well, that was the episode too. It was the episode after that that Kenzie and Tiff and her, they all said, "I will never vote for him in the end because of
Yeah,
that."
that's a good point. And you know what's also really important to know too is that, like, if especially Kenzie ends up in the jury with Tiffany and just say Q is in the final 3, Q could be like, "Well, when I was saying I wanted to quit, that was just me playing the game. I just wanted to fool you guys. It was all a ploy." And not only can Tiffany and Kenzie be like, "That's bullshit," they can
Mhm.
also say, "No, he tried to quit on our other tribe at
Yeah.
least once." Like, he literally threatened to quit. So it's not something that he was
And he
just
quit the
saying in
night one
passing.
challenge. So
Well, but the only thing is Jelinski's the only one that knew that. So Q could have saved his ass if he had just figured that out after the first time. You don't tell people you're gonna quit. The only thing is it
well,
didn't have any consequences for him.
yeah, that's why I see, like, if Ben's next to Q, Ben wins. If
Love
Ben's
Ben.
next to Charlie, Charlie wins. If Maria's next to Charlie, Charlie wins. If Maria's next to Q, Maria wins. If Maria's next to Kinsey, Maria wins. If Kinsey's next to, like, I feel like Charlie is up there. Maria's
Yeah.
up there. But I feel like Ben has a strong case and he's got like everyone on the jury's his friend. So
Hi, I need answers though about his vote because what the fuck? Why the fuck did he vote for Kenzie?
yeah, that's
I
a big
rewatched the
conundrum.
episode today to take notes and I was like, look, I was at a bar. I could have just missed it. I could have just like missed it because that shit happens. I missed plenty of things where I was like, oh, that makes sense. I was talking to my friend at that point. Blah, blah, blah. No, there's nothing that we saw. So I'm sure they'll probably tell us to some degree when we get back to camp. Like he'll just be like, it was a hinky vote, and then he'll tell us the truth at a confessional. Could still be a hinky vote. Could be like he wanted to like scare her or something. It just feels so out of the blue because like that's not the way I viewed their relationship at all currently.
No.
I
Yeah.
just I still don't understand. That has been probably my biggest mystery of the season is I do not understand why Ben voted for Kenzie. I need the answer before Wednesday. I'm too impatient. But I also did the numbers out and I was telling Sarah this before the episode. As much as I wished Kenzie and Charlie had not swung with the vote, I just if Ben was if everybody knew Ben was voting for Kenzie, I just don't think that it was wise of them to go with Q and split the vote. I think that at that point they were probably running the risk of rocks, and it's not that like I don't know. There's got to be something that made them concerned to not want to risk a tie. The numbers just didn't seem to be there. Um And I mean, the big thing is Ben didn't seem interested in voting for Q. So it's not like if they stuck with Q, Ben would have voted for them. Ben had no, or voted with them rather. Ben had no interest in voting for Q. So I think that was really, I mean, the big problem. I mean, it really was because what else was going to happen? It was still going to go Venus's way. Maybe really at the end, it was just Ben playing Switzerland and being like, I am just picking a name because I don't want to vote for Venus or Q. I don't know why he
It's
wouldn't
still
want to
really
vote for
risky. I
Venus.
don't know.
I don't know.
I
Something's
don't know.
not
Maybe we'll find
math
out next
isn't
week.
mathing. I need more. But this is a new idol flush record from to my knowledge. 4 flushed idols in a season. And I want to remind people, Charlie has indeed been behind each one of them. Not saying Maria has not either, but he has been the play caller to some degree. Especially in this last one because he had the ability to at least force a tie vote. But yeah, Gem, Hunter, Tiffany, and Venus, all of those, he participated in that. Same with Maria. Again, no dig at Maria. It's just when we're talking about how this moves forward in the future, I think Charlie's going to have more leverage than Maria because of the social game he played around her decisions. Not that I'm because I think it's a big debate of like who deserves the money more, the person who played the strongest social game in that sense, or the person who made that kind of a big move. I don't know. And I think it just for me depends on the situation. What were you
I
gonna
don't
say?
I feel like we'll find out in like the first 10 minutes of next week. So
Oh, for sure. For sure. But so far, just a reminder. Oh, I think I already said that. Just sorry. I was gonna remind people who we had left, but that's just in my notes. I
it's
already
up on
did
our
that.
screen.
Sorry. It's
It is
11:30.
late, guys. But it is here for you. And next
I'm
week,
gonna
we
rewatch
promise.
this video and be like, "Why the fuck did we record this late?"
Nah, no, it's
No,
good. This was
I'm
good.
also
It was
gonna
kinda unhinged. We had some ups, we had some downs, we had some highs, we had some lows. I feel like this episode gave everybody everything. But I can assure you, like, we will have an episode out to you on Friday, of next week
Yee.
because we are both off next Thursday. I am heading to New York this weekend, and I will be there through Wednesday. So Thursday will be my recovery day. I'll be nice and vacationed and ready to go for the next episode. So
It'll be fun. I'm
I
excited for it.
plan my flight. Like I will be getting home right as Survivor starts on Wednesday. So
I'm so
that
excited
is
for you.
dedication.
Oh, I mean, one time when I was driving into Boston for one of the things, I was, like, watching it on my phone. Not that that's nearly even remotely the same, but my driver heard it and was like, asked he said he could turn down, like, the volume so I could listen to it. I'm like, "Oh, no, I've got captions on," and it's just like but, like, that level of dedication, like, pull out your phone. You got that Paramount Plus app, like, you gotta go for that shit. It's so much fun too when you can just, like, have the luxury of watching it and not feel like you have to, like, overthink it for too long, like, you can kinda, like, really absorb it.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you do in New York. Be
Yeah.
fun. Before I
With my
stumble over my
mom.
words too much because I am sleepy, that does wrap up this episode of Wicked Unscripted unless I missed anything. So I'm gonna give you that pause. I usually
Um
check with you.
Big Brother coverage will be starting soon. They did announce the premiere date for Big Brother for July 17th. We are having a 2-night premiere. I do want to talk on this just real quick at the
Yeah.
end, if you don't mind.
No.
We're gonna have a 2-night premiere. This could mean a couple of things. It could mean, will probably mean, most likely mean we will not have day one feeds. And for those of you, there's a lot of people in my comments that are asking questions like, what does that mean? Like, why no live day one feeds? Well, since they started the day one feeds, we typically don't have like a 2-night premiere because the second night or the first night, like they need to compile clips and edit together an episode. Okay.
Right.
So the only way that this works for a 2-night premiere, we're going to get one of two things. We are not going to have a live move-in. I don't see that happening. I feel like we'd still have a live move-in. I feel like this happens. I just don't think we're going to have night one feeds. They'll piece together a second episode, or we have 2 live events. We will have a live move-in and we will have a live eviction second night, or live competition or something. We'll do 2 live shows. Could be. That would be really exciting. That would actually be my preference. But I, well, no, it wouldn't be my preference because as we've learned in the past, that night one feeds are essential.
They
Essential.
really are. I'm really not thrilled if we don't get them
If we
because
do
they're
not
gonna
get night
we're
one
gonna lose
feeds,
so much
we are going to
context.
miss so much. And what we have learned time and time again, put this in perspective, if we hadn't had night one feeds on Taylor's season, we would have been completely in the dark and at the mercy of the house guests that are in there and their narrative of her behavior. All the
Mhm.
stories they were telling behind her back about how what she said, she called Jasmine fat, she did, like, none of that. If they had done the previous, like started the feeds after a couple days in, we would have just had to been taken at the word, and the whole narrative of the whole season would have completely been changed. The fact that we got night one feeds and we could see that Taylor was being hated on just for existing is what made that it was pivotal. It was essential for us to see the full story. And so what we have learned from night one is that the strongest bonds are formed night one. So much stuff happens off those cameras when you tell those house guests the live feeds aren't on. They take full advantage of that. There's a lot of shit that goes on, and they are discouraged from talking about the things that happen pre-feeds too. So we get vague things that we'll never really know about, and we never really get full clarification on.
You'll
Um,
literally get like, you're not allowed to talk about production. It's like,
yes. So
what?"
I'm very, very pro day one feeds. You can talk to Miss
Yes.
Queen Taylor herself. She will tell you those day one feeds saved her ass, saved her life in that game. Um, Not in the game itself, but like the oh my god, the uphill battle she would have been fighting from the day that she came out of that house, you
The
know?
day one feeds were really important this past season too, because, like, I mean, watching Phalanx 5 form literally
Mhm.
within, like, 20 minutes, and
With
we were
yeah,
all literally
we
on
had a
Twitter being
record
like,
of the
"What?"
first alliance. Yes.
Like, and there was so much that happened. I mean, I immediately saw the connection that Riley and Jag had that exact first night. Like, not just them, but with Cameron too. That
Mhm.
trio immediately pegged. Like, it's so easy to and it's not that I was just like assuming from that point on I was like they must be a team, but it's like you watch the season, it's like, yeah, that would make sense why when they were just talking about juggling that night and just shooting the shit, why they
But
had
even so, those
connections.
feeds were all over the place. They never stopped. They never went to sleep last season. And those feeds were what kept us kind of like making it sense. Even production had a really hard time piecing together a story
Yep.
on the scripted not scripted, the edited episodes to tell like how we got here, how we're getting to these nominations, how we're getting to those things. But us, the live feeders, got to see the whole story. So I don't know what this means. I don't feel good about this. I do not feel
I am
good.
worried.
I am very worried we're not going to get night one feeds.
I do think if that happens, there is going to be backlash.
Yes, but I feel
I
like
don't
this
think
is
it's
them
gonna change their
testing the
mind.
Canadian waters of no feeds.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us US watchers are very wary of the
Mhm.
fact that Canada has had their feeds pulled, and none of us like a lot of us would find ways to watch Big Brother Canada. And actually, before they pulled the feed, Sarah and I were getting pretty much ready to start covering Big Brother Canada like we cover this. And then they pulled the feeds, and I was like, oh, I'm out. Like, I have
Out.
no interest.
Completely
And
fucking
they're like,
out.
well, dailies, digital dailies that don't come out actually daily, they pick random days. I'm sorry, I can't plan my schedule around when they feel like dropping it because there would be days like on the weekends, people would be like, no drop today. And it's like, cool. Well, if I had time to cover anything on that day, I would have no intent. Like, and that's what I fear would happen if they move to that system here. And then it means that less people are watching, less people are keeping track. And that would ultimately be the goal for them because they don't want people getting so up in arms over the things that they say that can be really insensitive, but it is
Mhm.
part of like what happens. Like I remember Suri used a culturally insensitive phrase. I'm not going to say what it is, obviously, but if you know what it is, you know what it is. Like she used one on the season, and I was like, ugh, I hope she comes out of the house and really understands that that is not something you can say. But it wasn't race, like, well, it was not, it was culturally insensitive. So it was in, it can be considered racist, but like people were like, she has to be pulled from the game. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, because we saw somebody pulled from the game earlier in the season because they used a well-known slur, like there's different strategy, like there's not different strategies, but there's different strategies rather that production will use, and like what their methods are to letting people go, because there were other words used in the house, there were other phrases used in the house that plenty of people objected to, and people will
Mhm.
just be so quick to hear something that they don't like and be like ejected.
But what it did is it started a conversation. It started those conversations that, and I say this every season, we're gonna have situations like that, and
Yep.
those conversations are important. It's important for those conversations to be happening in the living rooms across America. There are so many people from different generations and different ages that aren't on TikTok, that aren't getting this kind of information, that aren't hearing from different cultures and backgrounds and origins of certain words. They just think something is a turn of phrase or an expression or something.
Yes.
And shows like this and these social experiments, and for all of us to come together and watch them on the feeds and discuss it on social media. And yeah, sometimes we get really loud about some of these things too, rightfully so, but that's what starts the conversations and what starts the education process, and that's what starts the change. So I will always be a huge proponent of um using this show and the social experiment of it all to be a catalyst for that change and to be like the fire starter for these conversations that wouldn't normally happen organically in a lot of people's lives, in everyday lives at work or wherever they go. um so yeah, I will be very, very disappointed if we don't get night one feeds. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
extremely disappointed if we don't have the reindeer games production level competitions.
I will say one thing I'm excited about is we know that 2 of the casting, people who have like, 2 members of the casting team for this season who have joined the casting team, are 2 people who, were named as Emmy winners for the season 1 Traitors cast.
Mhm.
So that gives me some hope. Really gives me some hope that they know what they're doing and that they can kinda help suss out some stuff because there have been some casting issues, I think, in the past that could
Or we
be
just don't look at people's socials more than 2 weeks old to figure out,
literally.
a
There's
little bit
so
about
much
them.
more there's
But,
so much
yeah,
more
I'm
research
I'm
that
I'm
could be
hoping we
done.
get better competitions this season. I am excited. It feels like it's been forever, and it also feels like it was just yesterday that, we
It
pulled the
really does.
all-nighter.
I actually there are people that I will hear about in my life where they're like, "Oh," like, people will come across and be like, I have a friend who knows, like, your stuff, and most people say they found us through watching that. Like, they're like, "Yeah, there was this girl that I started following, that's your sister? Oh, I watched her, or your cousin," or something like that, and it would be like, I watched her doing that all night, challenge from Big Brother where she literally stayed up all night watching with her friend, and I was like, "Yes, we were
Yeah.
successful." Actually, not gonna lie, please bring that back. Please bring pressure cooker back.
But
I enjoyed pressure cooker.
let's have some better jump scare kinda things in there,
Oh, please, let's do a little bit more than we did,
'cause
but I still like pressure cooker. I really enjoy
we
that
do, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
challenge.
for sure. It was a lot. But yeah, I am pumped, I'm excited. So yeah, so go back. We are having a 2-night premiere. It will be followed by a Sunday night episode. It will go on your regular Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday schedule. I'm not seeing too much differentiate.
It's okay, it's late.
Oh my God. I'm not seeing too much, like, change yet because I know that there was, like, a shift mid-season where we changed up the schedule and everything. I don't see any rumors of that just yet, so, we might just get, like, a straight lace season. As far as the number of days, I'm counting like, I'm booking my life based on, like, 90, but I
I think
feel
that's
like
the
we're probably
max.
gonna have, like, an 82.
I First of all, I hope that they listen that sometimes 100 days is really not needed for Big Brother. Like, you really don't need
Really
that.
fucking not.
Like, even us live feeders are like, "Yo, enough." By, like,
And
a month.
I
Like, almost a month.
swear to Dolly Parton, our Lord and Savior Dolly Parton, I swear, if you put me through another dead week,
No. Then we
I'm
will have to
watching. I'm
consider
watching. I
whether this
told
is
y'all last
working or
season. I
not.
told y'all at the end of last season that I'm still Sarah Talks Big Brother. It might be Sarah bitching about Big Brother this season. But like reindeer games proved to me that they have the capability to give us what we want. And they've kind of fucked themselves doing that because if they can't give me like an ounce of that, then I don't know. I don't know what this entails for the season. I just I need night one feeds. I need better competitions. I'm feel good
Need better
about casting,
casting.
but like
Casting got better last year, and I'm not
it
trying
did.
to say that it didn't, but it still needs work.
It needs
Needs
work.
some serious work.
Needs just a little smidgen of research.
And we also need to make sure that if we're going to cast people like Felicia, which
Mhm.
we want, we need to make sure that Felicia can have a fair chance in the competitions against someone like a Jag or a Cameron.
Now,
Fucking please.
I mean,
Sorry.
we'll have a whole episode.
That's
We'll
my
have a whole
bitching point.
episode pre-season premiere about hopes, wishes, and dreams and everything. But I did. We broke down. I have all the statistics available for everybody, like, and then the patterns when we went from crapshoots to mental to physical. If you remember, this was like a 90% physical season with all the different competitions we had, and even the mental comps are physical. So yeah, I want more Felicias. I
Yes.
need them to have a fair shot, and Reindeer Games proved to me that production can do it. They proved to me that you can make an entertaining show only about competitions and it still be entertaining because it was an even playing field. And that's all I'm wanting for this season. So I'm very excited. Again, we will have an episode drop leading up to Big Brother, and the BB Bible will be back. So stay tuned for more information on that.
Yee, but with that, that does wrap up this episode of Wicked Unscripted. So if you like what you hear, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and download the podcast. All the fun things. If you want to check out our updates on TikTok, follow us at Sarah Talks Big Brother. It's Abigail Adams, Wicked Unscripted, all that good jazz. Good jazz, good stuff, all that jazz. I can't say anything tonight, clearly. But if you want to if you want to ask a question, share your thoughts, leave a tip, email the podcast at wickedunscriptedpod, P-O-D, at gmail.com for more. We are always looking for fresh and avoid. Bye.
Bye. Good night.
I'm just done.
Bye.